Eye Care Monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an Eye Care Monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and Eye Care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break Reminder and Force Break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force Break activates to rest your eyes. Eye Care U. Safeguard your eyes.
Well, hello and welcome to AMX Global Beta Season 2. You join myself, Alex, and also I'm joined once again by the incomparable Italian colleague of mine, Marco. Marco, a very good morning. How are you doing, buddy? A third of the way through the season so far, and now we head back to, I think, one of your favourite categories, front-wheel drive racing, and we're back in Asia again at Tsukuba.
Yes, sir. Being in the middle of Golden Week in Japan, I think it's a perfect combination today. Front-wheel drive cars, as everybody that follows us, are my favorite cars in the world. TCRs, of course, are my main focus, but of course we have like the before TCR today, and is the incomparable, in this case, Clio Cup, which is basically, yes, the entry ticket into this kind of competitions. Front-wheel drive car that's the same for every. Small car, small track, a big excitement, because these cars are, wheel-to-wheel combat and, close quarter racing, Alex.
Yep, so we're back at Tsukuba. We're running again on the short configuration of the circuit, based in Shimotsuma, which is in the Ibaraki prefecture in Japan, about 60 kilometers north of central Tokyo. And we are going to have some wonderful action. Of course, this particular circuit has been a staple on this particular season. As of race day 15, we closed the chapter on the first third of Beta Season 2, and now we're going into the second third of it. As you can see, there are the three respective tiers for AMX Global on iRacing. A total of 45 days, which means we've got 45 free-tier races, and then we've also got no entry fee for that one, so it's for anyone of any skill level. $30 prize pool per race. Paid Tier 1, we have 22 races. We'll have the next race for Tier 1 coming up later on today, and we have also made our way through a third of the races for Tier 2, where it's a $20 entry fee, and that's where you can win the most bucks. This is the schedule for AMX Global. We're currently on May 4th, 2023. It's race day number 16 on May 6th, May 8th, May 9th, and then May 11th. We'll be getting towards 20 race days here on our broadcast schedule, with a variety, a smorgasbord of different cars and different track configurations. As we see one of the Clio Cups make its way around the final corner here at Tsukuba. Here are the points for the free tier race, and it is, of course, the latest of the is number 16 of free tier. 8 points for a victory, 6 points for second, 4 for third, and so on and so forth, right the way down to 8. Fastest lap of the race gains a further 3 points, which equals a further $3. Payouts will be made at the end of this season. The DNF is when a driver does not complete, gets to under 80% of the winner's total race time here on AMX Global. Now that's through all 3 tiers that we have, through the free tier, Tier 1, Tier 2. There's also the current total earnings, the standings at the moment. Kaya Gaspar leading the way on $736. Has won 6 races. Victor Miranda, Gaio Valero, Gaston Kulhavi, Josh Perwy are not that far behind, with Miranda having attended 17 total races, 8 victories so far. Kaya Gaspar has attended the most races so far, a total of 27 out of what will be 31 as of right now. But we do see that Gaston Kulhavi is in this battle. Corentin Guignez, who featured very, very prominently battling away with Gaio Valero at race day number 15, is with us on this one. Currently 8th in the standings, and you can see that Laue Santi is the driver that rounds out the top 10. And you can also see the average win rate percentages. So Gaio Valero has won 60% of his races out of 10 that he's attended so far. Don't forget, if you want to join the action here on AMX, you can go to our official website at amxrace.com. But this particular circuit here at Tsukuba, it has been around for over 5 decades, known for Formula Drift, known for time attack, and its proximity to Tokyo has made it extremely popular with local car tuners who compete in time attack competitions. I wouldn't be at all surprised if you find cars that have been tuned by the legendary Japanese tuner Top Secret. If anyone might remember a particular 1,200 horsepower Toyota Supra that went north of 200 miles an hour on the A1 in the United Kingdom, and said person driving said vehicle was actually pulled over by the police. But the track temperature is going to be 49 degrees Celsius. Track length just a shade over 1.5 kilometers. And one of the other things about this circuit, we've seen this time and time again when it's been used, Marco, is the shortcut variation that we use, which is normally when they go right at turn 7, and then they've got another right-hander coming through at turn 8. They have a very, very close wall on the right-hand side coming onto what would be normally the back stretch from turns 10 into 12.
Yeah, that's a for everybody, and of course drivers need to be aware of that. And you can see the beautiful Clio Cup, there it is, taking the final corner, as we were saying, front wheel drive, of course, as it should be always, a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder engine. And as I was saying, basically your more or less entry level into front wheel drive competition. This car is ready for some good old beating and banging all the way around the racetrack. A fun fact about this racetrack, by the way, at least in the iRacing world, is that this was laser scanned by iRacing so many years ago, and never released until it was finally released after popular demand in 2019. But I'm not joking, the scan has been made in the early noughties, in early 2010s, I should say, by airing during their trip to Japan, when they scanned also Okayama, which is one of the hooks in air racing. So these, together with, for example, Nokill, and I think also Snetterton, have been kept in the racing drawer for so many years for unknown reasons, and finally finished a few years ago and then released. This one in particular has been released for free, and in my opinion is one of the best tracks in the whole iRacing service. You've got two completely different layouts: 1000 layout, which is the one we are racing today, the short version, and the 1000 layout, which is just around the corner if you look from an aerial view. These are two completely distinct racetracks, and each one of them has got 3 or 4 different variants as well, and it makes sense. This is being a free track, is being included into the iRacing rotation in the rookie series, but popular in the higher tier series. One thing I like about the version, the one we are racing today, is that it throws to you a lot of different kind of corners. Despite being a very short track, you have a couple of elevation changes also. It's really a complete racetrack, Alex, and it's incredible how much you can achieve in such a small space when you have a good track design.
Yes, indeed, Marco. Some interesting tidbits there from Marco as we get underway with our 10-minute qualifying session. We're going to have a 20-lap race around this. Okay, so Ottavio Rondeletto, the Argentinian from Hucos Racing Esports, Gaston Colmarvi, and Quentin Guiñez rounding out the 3 strong. So 10-minute qualifying session here. Also, another interesting tidbit that I've just come across is that Yoshiki Ando with the Escort Drag Racing Service Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, earlier on this year, later on in late January, actually was the first driver to break through the 50-second barrier at Tsukuba on the full circuit. Now, and this would have been in a time attack situation, whereas we've got a full-blown race situation. We're going to see the first few banker laps come in. I mean, Rondeletto was posting mid 46-second lap times as Gaston Colmarvi makes his way through into turn number through the first couple of corners and through the snake section, but already we're seeing a purple sector from Quentin Guiñez through sector number 1. You will actually see a little bit of information scrolling down at the bottom of your screens, folks. Yes, a little bit of information to talk about the track and also about with regards to the current overall leaderboard here at AMX Global. And as I just mentioned about said wall on the inside of turn number 8, which a certain driver has just gone past, Quentin Guiñez, who is about to cross the line. He's fastest in the first sector, Rondeletto fastest in sector number 2. Colmarvi just puts in a 47.953. Quentin Guiñez already into the 47.8s with the 47.801. Rondeletto yet to set a respective lap time, is just about to come out of the final corner to do so. But as we both know, Marco, is the fact that this track will evolve over time as Rondeletto goes P2 by 0.5 tenth of a second. We know that the track will always evolve in terms of the grip, the rubber laying down onto the circuit. We also know that there's a drawback with that as soon as the track starts gripping up, your tyres start degrading.
Yes, and we looked in the pre-race symbol done by our beautiful production crew in the back. 49 degrees on the racetrack. It's of course never good, especially so on a Japanese racetrack, because Japanese racetracks in real life have this tendency of being quite slippery, so the drivers will have to contend with this extra element of difficulty as they navigate through the corners here at Tsukuba. Now, the most of them is by far Motegi, which is, as you can see here, a small mistake from Ottavio Rondeletto. Motegi is really a nice skating rink. In most weather conditions, like something like we have today would be almost unraceable in some cars. Here at Okayama, sorry, here the situation is a bit better, but still very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's always the way with these kind of circuits, because you never know what it's going to throw at you. Okayama is also a staple here on iRacing, and it has provided, over the years, quite a stern challenge for the drivers. Commenting Guinness goes top of timesheets on a 47.683 with Rondeletto and Paul Harvey. They're separated by less than 0.3 of a second, right with the number 48, making his way through into the final corner. They've got to carry the speed through, and we even know that despite the fact these cars having 1.6 litre inline-4 turbocharged engine producing 200 brake horsepower, very much based on the corresponding road car, it is, as Marco said earlier on, it's a great entry point for one that doesn't have the iRacing level that some of our drivers do. Gael Valetto north of 9k. As we ride back on board with Rondeletto, who's about to go through the right-hander here at turn 7, and then use the shortcut part of the circuit. He's gone purple in sectors 1 and 2, a bit close to the wall on the right-hand side coming out of turn number 8 before he goes through into turn 9. But Gaston Coulharvey has started responding and goes purple in sector number 1. Halfway through the session, Ottavio Rondeletto comes out of the final corner. Is this going to be an improvement? No, it is not. 47.973. But Coulharvey here, Marco, looks to be improving. Best sector of anybody. Second sector was an improvement. A bit slow in the third one, though.
Yeah, there was so and so, but the final sector is quite good, so it should be improving. In fact, it does, but wow, only the timing tower shows you how close it is right now between the three drivers today, and that is the beauty, I think. There is some sort of great equalizer with front-wheel drive racing. It's incredibly uncommon to see solo away create a massive gap for some reason. Now, as Rondeletto gets a provisional pole, you can see the gap still incredibly close. 0.05 of a second in all the driver field. Now, front-wheel drive, of course, as I go on and on about, in my opinion, the best kind of thing and the best car of car, but of course so different to what we usually have in racing, which is rear-wheel drive car, of course. This changes the dynamics of the vehicle completely, especially in corners like this one that Rondeletto is taking right now, and the final one he won't take because I think he clipped the wall there in the penultimate corner, because of course the front wheel driving power down on the front wheels of the car, which is also the axis that you use for steering. And so when you put the power down, you are putting the power down on the axis that should get you turned into the corner. And so throttlage becomes absolutely key to get as smooth as cornering input as possible with your car. And of course, you are constantly battling with understeer if you're not careful. So it is for some absolutely impossible, completely different racing than what you usually have. And as Corentin Guinness has a bit of a moment, saves the car, resets back to the pits, and so it's only Rondeletto on the racetrack right now. So, but the beauty of it, of course, the counterpoint to that, to the difficulty and the understeer, is that for these cars, for cars as well, you know, Alex, maybe somebody clips you and puts you sideways after a contact, just push the gas pedal down and the car will magically
Yeah, that will mainly be the case when you're turning into the way that the car's actually reacting. So if the car steps out to the right-hand side, then you're going to have to turn into that just to try and correct it. But sometimes that contact can be a little bit too hard for that to actually occur. So yeah, it's just one of those things where it can happen, but we are a couple of minutes away from the end of qualifying here, and Ottavio Rondeletto is leading the way by just 0.03 of a second to the decimal point. Gaston Coulharvey by the 56 thousandths of a second adrift. So Marco, at this particular moment in time, Rondeletto's got the measure of everybody, but Guignez and Coulthard, we both know that we can try and get the, we can try and see if this qualifying is going to get any closer over the next minute and a half.
And this is boding very well for the race itself, because these three guys are absolutely nose to tail in this qualifying session. By the way, when you load up at this racetrack in iRacing, it will tell you that it doesn't have any night lighting, but that is false because it has night lighting. That light gets used, and there are a couple of them around the racetrack. Now, it's not a completely lit racetrack at night, but being very it can absolutely be used, especially with cars that have headlights, for some night racing as well. Rondoletto improves once again, 47.530. He's got 1/10 over Corentin Guignez and a couple of tenths over Gaston Coulthard. Are absolutely minuscule when you consider front-wheel drive racing. So big expectations for this race. Nobody is going to be able to improve in this one. Maybe Guignez can do one more lap. I think he will, but maybe won't. So at the most we have one more attempt for the French driver, and yeah, I would say one more for Coulthard as well.
Yeah, the time is counting down to 0 here in time qualifying for free tier, race number 16 here at Tsukuba, the shortened variation of the full circuit, measuring just 1.5 kilometers. Check it is out for the session. An improvement by Corentin Guignez in the opening sector, goes purple in sector number 2 as he heads through the right-hander here at turn 7, underneath the Dunlop Bridge, and then through past the wall, very close adjacent to the right-hand side of the vehicle. Improvement again in sector number 3. Will this be the lap that could put Corentin Guignez on pole position? Comes out of the final corner, comes across the line, and what is the lap time from the number 8? It's top of the timesheet, 47.442, and that's a great lap there from Corentin Guignez to round out the session. And that, as they say, is that, Marco. Why don't you take us through the results?
Yeah. Absolutely fantastic last-ditch effort from Corentin Guignez, 47.442. That gives him pole position. Ottavio Rondoletto and Argentinian Gaston Coulthard will start in third here at Tsukuba in the short layout. So, as we were saying all throughout this qualifying session, the lap times have been incredibly close for all three of these drivers, and so that is going to probably be the same during the race. But Corentin Guignez, what a lap! He was basically had one more chance to, and he did it. I am seeing the cars being positioned on the grid, and there will be no pace car, therefore, as it should be with front-wheel drive, we're going to have a standing start, which is always interesting, of course, with these cars, especially the TCR cars. If you're not careful, you can be in 5th gear and still drifting, but everybody's on the grid, therefore, Alex, we're about to start.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the revs to rise on these 1.6 litre turbocharged engines. The green flag is in the air, it waves. We're underway for the first lap out of 20, and a great hole shot for Corentin Guignez, who manages to pull past Rondoletto going through into turn 1, but the number 48 trying to keep it side by side as they head into the S section, or the inside run into the main hairpin on the infield of the circuit. Gaston Coulthard looking to the outside of Rondoletto, uses momentum ever so slightly. Now tries to cut and get the crisscross on the number 48, looking towards the outside as they go through turn 7 underneath the Dunlop Bridge. Coulthard giving Rondoletto something to think about, whereas Guignez is pulled away already, and that is a clear second. For the opening lap, he's doing a bit of a Sebastian Vettel, like back in his Red Bull days.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Guignez. Let's see if the drivers behind him can start to cooperate and close the gap, because that wasn't expected at all, given the times we had in qualifying. They were incredibly close. Slap Guignez to maximize track in front of him, nobody in front of him, and was able to pull us. Now we'll see the two Argentinians. As you can see, a big lockup from the Frenchman as he enters the beautiful hairpin there, and now into the shortcut, which will go to the right instead of the left here, and is off the backstretch pace. Half. That's another lap quickly in the books. One comes between Guinness and Rondoletto.
Yeah, so the battle between Rondoletto and Coulthardby just still carrying on. Coulthardby gets a better run as Rondoletto runs wide. Coulthardby to the outside heading into turn number 1. Is the number 2 going to try and do the crisscross this particular occasion? Can't quite get it hooked up as they come out of turn number 1 into the S complex, into the next left-hander as Coulthardby again trying to sweep wide into the corner, carry the momentum through, turn it nicely, rotate the car on the apex. And Rondoletto still has Coulthardby's number at this moment. So we again go through the shortcut. We're on the rear bumper cam of Octavio Rondoletto as Quentin Guinness now has a 2-second advantage. So this is effectively the battle for the runner-up position. Who's going to run wider out of the final corner? It is again Rondoletto. Did not touch the grass on that particular occasion. Fastest lap of the race, no surprise by our race leader, who has another lockup going into turn 1. Is still managing to rotate his 888 Clio through the opening corner. And Coulthardby is getting closer and closer still, switches to the outside again through for turn 3. Can't get the job done still.
Classic stuff between the pair of them, but this is only helping Quentin Guinness to extend possibly his fantastic winning percentage record this season. I saw that in the intro with the new beautiful graphics prepared by our production, that he has an astonishingly high win percentage. I think 60%, 6 wins out of 10 races if I'm not mistaken, and he's looking like he's going to make it 11 in 7 if things continue like this, because this battle for second and third is going now. Good defending from Rondoletto, but I've seen Alex already in a couple of instances. Coulthardby had a very good run, but he wasn't able to pounce when the time was right. So let's see if he's just waiting, the number 2 driver, or if he's, despite the good exits he's getting, he still isn't close enough to go for the move.
Yeah, Rondoletto seems to have the right of way when it comes to being on the racing line itself. So he's making good his intentions and just making sure that exactly what is happening with his particular aspect is the fact that he's just got to keep it in front. But if he keeps it a little bit wide going through that first corner like that, Coulthardby's going to be through quicker than a rat up a drain pipe, and that to me is a bit worrying for Rondoletto.
Just a reminder that you can head on our YouTube and Twitch channels and enjoy the races, and of course if you can interact with us, and your chat will be displayed on the bottom right side of your screen. So if you have any question, any observation for the commentary booth, feel free to do so as this race continues. Final course again, laps are going by incredibly quickly here at Tsukuba as lap number 7 begins right now. It's still Quentin Guinness 47.5, 47.7 for both. So there's a couple of tenths of a second in it right now between the leader and the 2 chasing drivers, which still are getting, I suppose, slow down each other. They're down, of course, because of the battle that's continuing. Rondoletto keeps ahead, and for the time being seems to be not in imminent danger from Coulthardby, but we know with these cars can change quite quickly. Good turn 1 once again. Rondoletto and Coulthardby still on your screen. We got a viewer from Brazil. Yeah, I will not try to pronounce, but Crazy for Speed, his name translates in English. And for all information, AMXrace.com. find quite detailed information on how to run in league. So, out of the corner, as Lavi gets close to the wall. I don't know if we've lost Alex. Are you still with us? Okay, just a second, and Alex will join us once again as we head into the final corner. Corentin Guinness, 47.9.0. So still a small advantage after lap for the Frenchman. Rondoletto and Kulavi are still winning minus turn in second and third, and you can see Gaston is trying everything to find a different line, find a different solution to as close as possible to his fellow countrymen, without finding it so far. Rondoletto, of course, with big experience in oval racing, especially NASCAR, therefore he knows how to defend, he knows how to throw a block in the way and to make his car as big as possible. Is one of the toughest drivers to pass, I think, in AMX. 48 flat for Rondoletto, 48.2 for Kulavi, so a bit of a better lap for Rondoletto. Is trying to create the gap, and of course a gap not an issue for Corentin Guinness, 3 seconds the advantage over Octavio. Corentin Guinness, of course, we've seen already being hard a few weeks back when with that beautiful race with the TCRs around Spielberg in Austria, with that incredible fight with Gael Valero that went basically down to the wire until the final corner. I'm not mistaken, both drivers overtook each other several times in the last 3 laps. Certainly less intense experience for 10 in this final few. We see another bit of a lockup there at the air to do that, but it's not hurting his lap times, it's not hurting his tires so far. And with half of the race gone, now 3 seconds, and crucially in behind him, Octavio Rondoletto has pulled a 1 second gap over Gaston Kulavi. Therefore, the number 48 for Uncos Esports is now looking quite a good bet for second spot. As you can see, still the lap times keep being, 47.9 for Guinness, and then 1/10 more for Rondoletto, and a 10.5 more for Kulavi. So it's looking good for Rondoletto for second place, and more importantly, I would say, for Corentin Guinness, go home his 7th victory of the season. Going to the final once more here at Tsukuba, of course, using this shorter layout, which cuts off a couple of turns. Not much, to be honest. There is not a lot to cut off, of course, around here, as we can see on board from Rondoletto. The first corner being, of course, the same, and this first sector being always the same. There is no alternative here. There are a couple of alternative versions here of this racetrack. So the main one is this one, until the end is the 2 changes you can have. If you go straight after this corner, you have the normal layout. If you turn left, you have the bike chicane, which we're not using. And if you turn right, you have the shortcut, of course, which is what we are using right now. But basically what we are missing from the racetrack is the left-hander that takes you into the secondary racetrack that launches you onto the backstretch. But apart from that, the length of this racetrack is quite any way you try to get it, it's still a very quick and compact But as I was saying in the opening portion of the race, it really throws at you any kind of different corners, which is an incredible achievement in my opinion, considering that there are way bigger racetracks, even in some top competitions around the world that are not as fun, not as challenging as this very, very short piece of tarmac gives. If I'm not mistaken, and I might be completely wrong, so don't quote me on this, but I think that Tsukuba 2000, it's named like this because it's like 2 kilometers long, 1000 version, which is, as I was saying, right around the corner, and you could see it from an aerial shot of this racetrack. That would be 1000, therefore 1 kilometer. That is an oval, if we can call it like that, which is basically the layout of the 1000 racetrack. And oddly enough, you turn to the right instead of turning to the left, but still an oval nonetheless. We see other drivers asking us Discord now to of course the information are on our Discord. As I was saying, AMX race, be very happy if you join us not only for the next race, which will be the Formula 3.5 cars at Magny-Cours, but also of course in the remainder of the calendar. And you can see Kulavi has closed the gap massively on Octavio Rondoletto in the past couple of laps. A mistake from Rondoletto, lapping 48.5 in lap 15, and half a tenth faster was his countryman Gaston Kulavi. You can see the interval dropping down as quickly as it possible, because the next step would be to basically run over Rondoletto, which he of course can't do because we race fair around here. And once again, as it has been basically the objective for the entirety of the number 2 drivers race, find out how to pass on the countryman in front of him. Now it has been impossible so far. The very to Rondoletto for, you know, apart from the last 3 or 4 laps, Kulavi has been very, I don't think he's ever been as close as he is right now, apart from the very beginning of the race. But for Kulavi, the laps are counting down quite quickly, so if he has something up his sleeve, he has to do it right now. In front of them, Corentin Guinness is looking to bring home maximum amount of points for this race, which is in the free tier. Therefore, there are no points for participation, but there are of course still points the finishing position, and of course the points for the fastest lap. Now these cars, unlike other cars in the service, tend to drop off with lap times as the more the race goes on, unlike for example the F3 cars, which tend to get faster and faster and faster the more you drive. Therefore, I don't think Guinness will be in trouble with the fastest lap of the race, but of course the fight for second place is on. You saw Rondoletto lock the front left as he was entering the hairpin, and of course that is what you don't want to do with these cars, because when you lock one of the front tires, of course it's one of the axes you're turning on and one of the axes of the car, the axis of where you are putting the power. Therefore you are putting yourself in a position, and boy oh boy is Rondoletto vulnerable to Kulavi right now. With these cars you can afford to be a bit more aggressive when it's time to do an overtake, and so that Gaston will be too shy about maybe going for a big dive one of these moments, because he's incredibly close. Look at the beautiful camera shot from the production crew looking back to Gaston Kulavi's car, and you know, Kulavi might the crop morn, especially because we're heading into the final lap. Corentin Guinness is taking right now the white flag, which means one more lap to go in this quick battle for second and third. Here comes the white flag on the side of your screen, and we jump on board with Gaston Kulavi. He looks on the inside. Good thing from Rondoletto. He plants his car squarely onto the apex and then pushes the power down. Now it's crucial that he doesn't make any mistakes here in this hairpin. Has been the corner that's caught him off guard a couple of times. Good defending one. Doesn't lock up the front left. So Kulavi and has being forced to stay back. We can see this beautiful double screen feature, which I absolutely love. Please, that gives us the chance to follow Our leader, Corentin Guinness, rounding the final corner and taking home his 7th victory out of 11 races in the season. Fantastic stuff from the Frenchman. And Octavio Rondoletto, after having to defend thickly 20 laps, is able to bring home his car into, and Gaston Koulabi will have to settle for P3. What an exciting opening race of the day, afternoon, evening, night, depending on where you are in the world. Wasn't that exciting for this guy? It was the perfect race for this guy, I'd say, because first, after scoring pole, got the fast and was never challenged. That's the best kind of you can have. Somewhat relaxing day at the office for Corentin Guinness, who opens his for the day in fine fashion as he's back into pit road, as everybody should do in a realistic fashion. We have the final result of this first day for you from Tsukuba. Just a reminder, of course, that you can join us for the second race of the day. There is still plenty of time to do so with the Formula 3.5 at Magny-Cours in more or less half an hour. Here are the results then. Corentin Guinness is your winner over Octavio Rondoletto and Gaston Koulabi, as we get some beautiful sneak shots from the racetrack here in Tsukuba. And so, usual, I always say this, the front-wheel drive cars, they never fail to deliver excitement. So, thank you very much for watching us. As I was saying, you can see the link there at the bottom. amxrace.com is where you can jump in if you want to join us, not only for the next race, which starts in around half an hour, but also next few races. And of course, there are plenty of races to go until June. As you can see, our beautiful links here at the bottom on the various social media platforms. You can join us there. We're going to take a short break and take a quick trip to France for the Formula 3.5 race.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care U. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force break activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Break reminder and force break help manage.
Well, race day 16 continues here on AMX Global. Yeah, some technical difficulties from my side, but thank you very much, Marco, for bringing us to the end of what was an interesting race number 16 in the free tier. But this time we've got single-seater action, and it's at a circuit that used to be the venue of the French Grand Prix between 1991 and 2008. The Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours, and it's Formula Renault 3.5s, a category that has been defunct for quite a few years, but still good to see it alive and well here on iRacing.
Absolutely, Alex. Yes, in the, we were talking about Tsukuba in the bit of this today's action, like on those pieces of content that iRacing scanned, and with a few years to release. Well, the Formula 3.5 fits in the exact same bracket, with the difference that it was actually teased. Tsukuba, we knew it was scanned, but they never said it publicly, but it was common knowledge. The 3.5 was scanned and teased in 2015, but only released in 2018 after a long wait. And it's a very, very nice car, very difficult car to drive, but the perfect step from where to move into the top tier Formula in iRacing, at least to in the licensing scale, which is the Mercedes W13.
Yep, so there is the track itself. It's the Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours, located just 250 kilometers from Paris and around 240 kilometers of the city of Lyon. It hosted also the Bol d'Or, which is the motorcycle endurance events, the 24 hours from 2000 to 2014, succeeded by, of course, the famed Circuit Paul Ricard, which also hosted the 2022 FI8 Motorsport Games late last year. There are the tiers that we show you every single time we go into racing, no matter what tier it is. So we're going to be heading into tier number 1 with the $5 entry fee prize pool per race for $134 and the dates according to US Eastern Standard Time. It's Monday and Thursday mornings. Of course, don't forget, if you do want to carry on racing with us, or you're a newbie, you want to join the league, head to amxrace.com for further information on how you can sign up. You can go into any one of our 3 tiers, and what's more, it's for everybody. This is the second race here on May 4th, which is day number 16, so we're on our 32nd race out of 90, having already eclipsed the 30 race barrier come the end of day number 15, which happened just a couple of days ago on May 2nd. But the Circuit Magny-Cours, very, very much a staple of French motorsport. It also was home to the prestigious Winfield Racing Academy. And there are the points, very much not too far akin from the current Formula 1 side of things, with 25 points for a win, 20 for second, 15 for third, 10 for fourth, 8 points for fifth, and then fastest out of the race gets a cool 10 points in their pocket. As always, if you finish under 80% of the winner's total race time, you are considered a DNF, a non-finish, thereby no bueno, no points. Nul de points, they normally say with the Eurovision Song Contest. But Magny-Cours was also the home of the prestigious Winfield Racing Academy, or also known as the École de Pilotage Winfield, which produced drivers such as François Sévère, Jacques Lafitte and Didier Pironi. The circuit was first opened back on August 1960, so it's been in operation for over 60 years. Kaya Gaspar still leading the way in terms of the overall standings, not taking part in any of the festivities or shenanigans here today. Victor Miranda, Gaia Valero, Gaston Coulharvey and Josh Perween ran at the top 5. These results will be updated after the end of this race, so we always update it after every rotation of 2 races on a race day. So that will change because of the fact we have had a race earlier on today, and the payout is at the end of the season. Gael Valero was the Beta Season 1 champion, amassing over $600. But it's also been known, this particular circuit, which is 4.411 kilometers in length, it's 200 meters above sea level, and has hosted various national, international, open wheel and GT calendars for decades, including such as the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS. It's also hosted the Race of France between 2005 and 2006 for the FIA World Touring Car Championship. No longer with us. It's also hosted GP2 Super League Formula. Anyone might remember that particular series, with spec chassis, spec engines, but also representing football teams like Tottenham Hotspur, amongst others. World Sports Car Championship was hosted here between 1991 and 1992, and the International GT Open ran on this particular circuit between 2006 and 2011. So quite a lot of action has occurred over the past 6 or so decades, and the current all-time lap record held by one Michael Schumacher back in 2004 with a 1 minute 15.377, with the lap times we're seeing at the moment we're about 12 seconds, 11-12 seconds, but Formula Renault 3.5 is originally known as Formula Nissan. Formula Nissan was the brainchild of Jaime Alguersuari Sr., whose son Jaime Jr., who's now a famed DJ these days following his retirement from international motorsport in his mid-20s. These cars are very, very iconic in their own right. We are running with the Formula Renault 3.5. It was created in 2005, the very same year that a certain Fernando Alonso picked up his first of 2 Formula 1 world titles. It's a V8 engine in the back of the car, producing 530 brake horsepower and a top speed of approximately 300 kilometers an hour. In other metric measurements, that's 186 miles an hour. But slicks and wings at its very finest. Drivers that have come through the ranks of this particular class of vehicles, Stoffel Van Dorn has been in it, Kevin Magnussen, Giorgio Pantano, to name but just a few. And it is a car that really is a difficult one to master here, Marco.
It is. Giorgio Pantano name drop really, knocked me out there, so I needed a couple of seconds to get back on my feet. But I've had the pleasure over the years of broadcasting racing official series which was organized on Saturday nights, and this car has a small but very, very dedicated community on iRacing. We were talking behind earlier about how difficult it is, and it should be difficult, you were saying, and I agree with you, because this was back then, it was that era in motor where we had like 5 categories that were one step below F1, and so there was massive shot everywhere. Of course, we had GP2 back then. This one were the 2 main ones, of course, that were fighting for the spot of number 2 in the pecking order, and that's of course when GP2 was then basically officially integrated into the portfolio of the FIA series in the mid 2010s, and then Renault pulled the plug. I think the series went on for 2 seasons, being called Formula V8 3.5, still having like a very varied calendar. I remember then racing all over the world, even in the final few years, and sadly it was it was canned, but still lives in iRacing. Of course, we have the latest shot of this in service, which comes with all the bells and whistles, including DRS system, which can be activated 8 times during the race, no matter where the drivers are on the track, no matter to the car in front or the car behind. They can be used to attack, to defend. 8 activation. Sadly, iRacing in their API doesn't provide us commentators with the amount of times that they have it left. So it's up to our, as we see currently, yes, with a bit of a spin and back on the track, of course. So beautiful car, as I was saying, very, very difficult, but the small community that it has, if you want to race this car in the official series on Saturday, more or less, that's the peak time. And as I was saying, it's sadly not that popular because of this. We have this weird split on iRacing. The junior formulas have like such attendance, in terms of drivers, and in terms of spectators also. And then the more you go up, the tougher it is to find the race. Many people come to the service, Alex, because they see the Mercedes F1 car or whatever, and then they stick with the F4 or the F3, or maybe sometimes even the Skip Barber, which is one of my favorite cars in iRacing. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this car was originally first started being used in the World Series by Nissan. That actually started back in 1998. The inaugural champion was Marc Genet. And you look at the list of the honour roll that have gone through World Series by Nissan, World Series Light, Formula Renault 3.5 that started from 2005, ran until 2015. And it's quite funny how you look at the honour roll for that. Robert Kubica, Alex Danielson, Alvaro Parente from Portugal, Guido van der Garde, Bertrand Baguette from Belgium, who now races in Japan. Myself and Marco, we were having a lovely chat about Super GT, especially GT300, where we have monster, like literally a Toyota Prius that is quite clearly not standard. So Bertrand Baguette now runs in GT300, I think runs in GT500 these days. Robert Wickens, who's now back in who's doing a combination of circuit racing and also sim racing. Robin Freins, Oliver Rowland, those two names who are now in Formula E these days. With Freins at Apupra quite recently, a few weeks ago, just took pole position at the second of two races for the Sabic Berlin E-Prix. I should know, I was there and I was commentating on it all in German, which was the biggest surprise, and it was wet as anything on the Sunday morning. Oliver Rowland now with Mahindra, partnering with Lucas Di Grassi. You then look at other names that have come through the series: Riccardo Zonta, Frank Montagni, who was actually a two-time World Series by Nissan champion back in 2001 and 2003. I mean, the amount of name changes that the World Series by Nissan went through was quite hilarious, because at only one point in its last year, when Heikki Kovalainen with Pons Racing won the title that year, it was called the World Series by Nissan, but previous to that it was the Super Fun World Series, Telefonica World Series, Open Telefonica by Nissan. You know, it's quite interesting how these sort of, you know, this particular car, as you said, Marco, doesn't really get a whole lot of love. And Magny-Cours, you know, you don't see it that often on iRacing in many respects. But, I mean, it's a glorious circuit. It's fast, it's technical, it flows really nicely. And from the wonderful helicam shot that we're getting, just overlooking, I mean, you see the wonderful pit lane, which has got I love launch control, and drift happens, you know, like the little sort of nice attention to detail. It's a great circuit that still has the FFSA GT championships year on year. It's a driver favorite. It just has that wonderful mix of speed but also precision all at the same time.
It's quite an interesting racetrack. With it's very technical, really puts the drivers on notice. It's tough to pass around here, so if you want to make an overtake, you really have to be active. The Adelaide Airpin, Adelaide. We say Adelaide, no? Which of course sounds awful to you, but so it's the Adelaide Airpin.
To each their own. To each their own when it comes to corner pronunciation, Marco. It's to each their own, you know. But I think, you know, like say, you know, you've got Adelaide, you've also got the turn 12, 13 chicane on the infield, named after, of course, the Autodromo Enzo Guidino Ferrari at Imola. You've got Estoril, you've got Lycée, the Complex du Lycée, which is basically a case of a lycée is like a secondary school or a college. And then they just go with turn 14 to turn 15. They've got a left-hand kink, which is just simply called chicane. It's not even a chicane. It's just like literally plant the throttle as hard down as you can and see how fast you can go through with it without spinning.
Yeah, Lycée, of course, in Italian, high school is liceo, so it comes from Latin. So the similarities about, I can go on and on about languages, so I will stop there. I know that the shot from above that we saw earlier was sadly also the demise of this racetrack, because even when it hosted the F1 Grand Prix, especially when it hosted in the final few years, people, team principals, they were complaining about this track sadly being in the middle of nowhere, which in fact sadly it is, and with the now into the extreme, but also way back 20 years ago, teams and organization were always looking to move into more, let's say, glamorous locations, and sadly Magny-Cours was one of the ones to pay the price. So it's still raced, as you were saying, holds a special place in my heart, of course, because it's where Max Biaggi won his second and final Superbike World title 10 years ago, more or less. Here in a chaotic, dramatic final day where he got the title, falling in race 1, and then win the title in race 2 by half a point over Tom Sykes, the smallest margin possible. Only happened in F1 once, of course, with Lauda and Prost in '84, if I'm not mistaken, and in Superbike in that season. So still lives on, still bike race, especially in the USA local racing comes here. The idea floated about putting it on a rotation with Paul Riccardi in F1, but then now they're looking into a street race, another one on the Riviera. I think in Nice they are thinking. But nice to have it in iRacing, another track that it's this new wave. iRacing is really trying to put the new wave of completing the collection of these one grade 2 racetracks around Europe. We have Jerez, and we will have Mugello, Misano, Aragon, Portimao coming soon-ish into the service into the next few months to basically complete the set of all the remaining high-level racetracks in Europe. Hopefully Vallelunga one day, but they just came to Italy to scan Misano and Mugello the past week, and they didn't scan Vallelunga, so wait, we'll have to continue.
I was going to say that their trip must have been cut a little bit short. I mean, you saying about the legend that is Mr. Max Biaggi, I still remember the rivalry between him and Il Dottore, Valentino Rossi, these days now with Team WRT, and it's going to be racing at the Bugatti circuit at Le Mans this year. So Vale is really, really getting... I think it's really good that he's managed to find a passion to keep the adrenaline still going through his veins, even though he one of my friends considers him the Peter Pan of motorcycle racing, because the guy never ages. He's still got the very big hair, and he doesn't look like he's aged a day every single year now that he's in his early 40s, but still has that competitive urge to compete, and he's with one of the staples of sports car racing, of course, Belgium's Team WRT, run by Vincent Voss, and they have now made the switch to BMW from Audi, and there has been some news that is circulating that could unfortunately mean that we lose one of the most successful, if not the most successful, GT3 brand in its history, and that is Audi Sport, because there is a lot of news coming out that the customer racing aspect might be axed at the end of this season by the Ingolstadt board, and that would be an absolute shame. But the good thing is, folks, we don't worry about that here in sim racing, because we know for the fact that we've got the Audi RS3 LMS TCR. We've also got the Audi R8 LMS GT3, which is even better. We even had at one point, if I remember, the car that Jimmy Broadbent affectionately called the tractor, the having been the Audi R18 e-tron, like the original, the latter one where it went into the black and the red livery. So there's been quite a lot of change happening. Of course, Audi now aligning with Sauber with Formula One for 2026 with the new regulations, more of an emphasis on going on to 100% sustainable fuels. I mean, F2 and F3 are going on to 55% sustainable fuels from this season onwards. So there's a lot of change happening in the motorsport side of things, but there's also a lot happening in the automotive side of things. We've just had the checker come out for qualification, and I think the driver of the day apparently has been named as Corentin Guignez. He's a setup driver at Coach Dave Academy, run by the legend himself, Mr. David Prell, who is back in competition for the International GT Open Cup this year, returning with a familiar brand that he's raced with the Spirit of Race and Kessel Racing, which of course is Ferrari. He's also done a lot of work in sim racing himself, but it's great to see that Corentin is going to be out there in the car. And you know what? I think at the end of the day, this will give people an understanding of just how brutal this car can be.
Yes, absolutely. As we car on the track, as you were saying, there is talking about the Audi R18, and there is, sadly at the moment that car, both in real life and in iRacing, has been retired, not because it has been superseded by the new hypercar regulation. So iRacing used to have the rights for the Le Mans series. In this case, it was the European Le Mans series that was represented. Also, it is a partnership with teams. So, right now, there are two official series running on the iRacing service. One of them is the IMSA iRacing Champions, and the European Sprint Series, which is basically the European Le Mans series. They lost the right, we all know to whom, and we won't get into that. I think to that debate with 10 feet and a parchful in my hands. But basically, what we have in iRacing right now in the official series is we have this with the BMW hypercar, the LMDH, I should say, the LMP2, Dallara, and then we have GT3 cars that you can race in officials. And you have basically offset like 20 minutes, half an hour, official Le Mans series, which has of course the BMW that represents the hypercar in this case, the LMP2, and the cars. Now, as everybody knows, at the end of this racing season, so in a matter of a few months, GT cars will go to Dodo in the WEC and in the Le Mans series, especially, of course, as well. Yeah, of course, it's meant to be the WEC, fake WEC, of course, in this series. So what will effectively happen come 2024 on iRacing is that we should have two series that do exactly the same thing. So the rumor that's seen on the forums right now that next year IMSA, of course, will remain IMSA in iRacing. So with and of course, as everybody knows, as it has been teased, it's in teams themselves that iRacing has actually went and they scanned the Cadillac LMDH and the Porsche LMDH, so we could have more cars together with the BMW. So IMSA will remain IMSA, and the fake WEC that we have racing will actually switch back to being a nostalgia series with GT cars and the LMP1 cars, which would be quite Porsche and the Audi.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm looking forward to seeing in 2024? The LMDH hypercar from Sant'Agata Bolognese. Of course, Lamborghini have decided to throw their 2 cents into the ring. I mean, they've just released their... one of the things I love about Lamborghini is the fact that their new car, I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, I'm sure you'll probably know anyway, Marco, but a 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12 with a hybrid system, which has about 20 different modes that you can choose from. But Lamborghini, when they've now... Oh, Corentin Guignez has just had a bit of a spin. But that's definitely made the tyres a little bit dirty as he's doing a bit of grass cutting a la Valtteri Bottas back in the Red Bull Ring at Austria. And yeah, I mean, he's now looking at the stats for Corentin Guignez. 12 races attended, 7 races won, and he's averaged over $32 per race. So especially with the 2 races that we had the Radicals at Twin Ring Motegi, and then we headed back to Lime Rock Park for some TCR racing action. So he's definitely come in and thought, well, I don't want Gael Valero to have all the fun to himself. I'm going to have some fun of my own. And he's definitely obliged with that this season, hasn't he?
Absolutely. You know, when I see his name and see Gael Valero, of course, they are two of the top sim racers in the world, and Corentin Guinness especially has been always incredibly versatile in his sim racing efforts. Easier said than done. I always say the beauty of sim racing is that unlike any other thing in the world, basically, you can jump in for yourself. And actually, you could, if you had an iRacing subscription and owned this car and this track, you could jump in and set the same weather, the same track, the same time of day, and try it out for yourself, because it's incredibly difficult to be fast in one car in iRacing, but to do so in many different cars, it's actually basically impossible. One of the big problems that you get when you start in sim racing, especially nowadays, we have so many wonderful sims. Of course, iRacing is one of them, but we have Assetto Corsa Competizione, we have Automobilista 2, and there are many others. Is that right now you have so content on the plate that it is almost like instinctive to wanting to jump from car to car to car, from track to track to track, and try combinations. And that's actually the downfall of racers, because I mean, from one series to another series, and then you see your results drop, you're crashing constantly. So focus on one car, one series, especially when you do the officials, is massive. And being fast in so many different categories like Corentin does. Of course, he's very quick with the TCR cars, as we've seen also in Red Bull Ring a few weeks back, and has won many races in that series. So, you know, my favorite race car driver of all times is Juan Montañez. Has been one of the most versatile drivers over the last 20 years. So I have a soft spot for drivers that can do well in many different categories.
Yeah, and also the adaptability of drivers, especially with the fact that as Corentin Guinness was trying to get through one of the corners, you could hear the back end just sort of stepping out, and it just goes to show how much of a beast this particular car is. He's coming across the line to start the 6th lap of this 12-lap. Let's just say a wonderful drive in a very fast car with no restrictions on speed limits. Has to watch out for track limits in the Magny-Cours countryside here for Corentin Guinness, which will allow him to pick up a victory, pick up the fastest lap, and also go away with some dollars in his pocket.
Going to the Adelaide hairpin here, as you know, going back to the debate in W and the hypercars, I don't know, you know, how long these, you know, it has been great that WEC, the ACO, the FIA, and IMSA were able to converge on somewhat of a common rule set for the top class, but looking at the races with the hypercars and the LMDHs running together, I am not so sure it's the way forward. Of course, I don't need to tell you this year in Italy is not very keen on the nitty-gritty details when it comes to sport, and especially motorsport. The first few races, Ferrari 499P, which is a beautiful car, mind you, being greeted with you know, excitement, and I have to read in the press, especially this special that hurts me, you know, beating, you know, and I'm quoting, you know, already faster than Porsche, and you know, of course, when you have some cars that play with certain rules, and especially with the massive budgets that comes with designing an hypercar, the freedoms that you get from it, and when you basically like a tier 2 kind of cars, which is the LMDHs, which by the way, in my opinion, is the way to go, because it makes absolutely zero sense to spend millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars this hardware. So I don't know how long this will continue, because for the untrained eye especially, Alex, seems like these LMDH cars on the untrained eye, it seems like they are same spec as the hypercars, but appear to be much slower. So I don't long Porsche or Cadillac or maybe from next year want to. And honestly, I'm glad that in IMSA the hypercars, while they could participate, they have elected not to, because I really love the parity between the various hypercars, LMDHs, which I don't think is going to be able to be achieved in WC competition. I don't take on this.
Well, the thing is that with regards to the LMDH or GTP nomenclature that it has been given for IMSA, the various different type of engine and hybrid systems that have come out. I mean, the hybrid system is universal. It's the same for everybody, so it's spec parts. They can only run with one of 4 respective chassis, so it's either Multimatic, Dallara, Ligier or Rika, which are names that are well known. Multimatic also helped Ford return to GTE competition 50 years after the anniversary of winning their first Le Mans in 1966, and with the GT, which was a car that was being developed not just for the racetrack but also for the road. And then there were quite a few examples of that, because they went, oh, we're going to do a run of 250, then ended up being 500 cars. Yeah, I think it's like also with the fact of the different engines, like the internal combustion engines on the LMDH cars, where you have that absolutely snarling, throaty, rumbling 5.5 litre V8 naturally aspirated lump in the back as Corentin Guignez does a nice little 360 across the line, flat spots the tyres and lights up the rears. He's putting on a little bit of a visual show whilst we're talking about LMDH and GTPs here on AMX Global. But it's nice to have these kind of conversations, because the flat plane crank on that 5.5 litre V8 Caddy LMDH, when they have to go out of the pit box under electric power, and then the internal combustion engine fires up on that thing, it is absolutely glorious. It's one of the best sounding modern day prototype cars at the moment. But then you look at what BMW did with the MV8 hybrid. They actually used the P66 4 litre V8 naturally aspirated engine from their BMW M3 DTM that made the return back in 2012 and picked up all 3 titles, and then they bolted 2 turbochargers onto it. And from that perspective, it's quite cool, where you've got all these different powertrain solutions, 4 spec chassis or 4 spec constructors to go with. So it's looks like there is some donut action going on. We're going to concentrate on Mr. Guignez, I think, for a little bit, because we've been talking quite a bit about that. But again, it just goes to show how much of a rude awakening it is. And as Marco was alluding to earlier, that the Formula Renault 3.5, the V8 car, does have an obscene amount of horsepower. There's no stability control. There's hardly any suspension. So that was a bit of time through the final part of going through the final chicane here at Circuit Magny-Cours. And Corentin's he's even typing in the YouTube chat. Corentin, have you got a new skill? Are you multitasking? Well, he hasn't got to worry about anyone around him, but it's great to see him. I mean, the car, first of all, sounds glorious. It reminds me of the old V8s in Formula 1, as we get a lovely driver helmet cam shot, and we need interviews during races. All I'm going to say, if anyone remembers ESLR1 Katowice, where Gamer Muscle, aka James West, decided to put a microphone in the face of a certain FaZe Clan driver, one of the most successful COD people of all time, Ian Porter, aka Crimsix, whilst Grimsix was actually trying to turn a corner during a race, which wasn't exactly the best thing to do. And I think someone's asking for the volume to be cranked up. Is that on the cars? If that's on the car, but yeah, again, you can just see how much Corentin is just wrestling with the car, but it's just absolutely brilliant for us to see this car in action. We do need to get a few more of our drivers, maybe on the early morning broadcast when it comes to Europe and the UK, as we've got 2 laps to go, including this one. Again, another wonderful helicam shot. Just look how planted that car is when Corentin gets it nailed through the corners.
Let me give a shout out to one of the producers for the ESL races with which of course my good friend Dane Pearl, who has moved these first few steps in sim race. I actually gave him the tryout broadcast at Apex Racing TV way back when. So he went on to bigger and better things. So good for him. Of course, we've seen many drivers for this year, for example, not taking part in the iRacing Porsche Esports Super Cup to concentrate on the ESL series. As we have a replay, or we
first gear, 80 kilometers an hour, which is about 50 miles per hour. Now the telemetry decides to have a bit of a fit, and it says he's stuck in first gear at 83 kilometers an hour. We know that going through that part of the circuit that he is a lot quicker than that. But just great to hear and see this car in action. The midfield part. That V8 just absolutely roaring its head off through the exhaust.
Just a few corners left for Corentin. He's been enjoying a nice drive around the French countryside, and I think a very good day at the end for him. And he's going to win some nice celebrations, I think, in a few seconds, Alex.
Yeah, another final chicane, and the checkered flag waves, and Corentin Guignez might have been on his own, but he definitely gave us something to think about. He puts his fastest lap on for the last lap of the race, and there's some burnouts and some donuts for good measure as well. He's got it nailed. He's got it nailed. There we go. That's what we like to see. Very much in the ilk of a certain Sebastian Vettel when he picked up his 4th world title at the Indian Grand Prix, and then proceeded to do donuts on the start-finish straight, and then promptly got a fine of about $10,000 US for the privilege of doing so. But yeah, a great car, a great track, and also a very comparable driver who again decides to spin out and a 360, keeps it out of the barriers. That is just supreme car control, and the slick tyres, which at that point would have been supplied by Michelin, were very dirty. But Corentin Guignez might have been on his own for our 32nd race out of 90, but he takes away 35 points, which equals $35 US. That really rounds out the action here for race day number 16 here at AMX Global. Don't forget, you can go to amxrace.com for further information. You can also go onto the schedule and the leaderboard to find out who's leading who, what races are coming up in terms of free races, and also what tier races you can enter. So Corentin Guignez, yeah, might have been on his own, but he gave us, as I said, a little bit of a show, and he pulls the car to a standstill. And that concludes Tier 1, race number 8.
So don't forget that we will be back racing in a couple of days with a couple of races. The first one will be on with the Porsche 911 GT3 racing at Tony Park, and then we'll have once again the like we had a few days ago, if I'm not mistaken, at Motegi, the Radical SR8, so the free one in the racing, and maybe better one in the racing service.
Yeah, well, we had a really, really good battle between quite a few drivers, such as Kaya Gaspar, Jackson Resende. Fabio Zampolini has been given a shout out on our respective social media, particularly on the Instagram side of things. But don't forget, you can hit us up on socials, on Instagram, Twitter. You can also join us on our Discord, get involved with the conversation. Give us a like on TikTok, maybe even give us a follow. You can also follow us on Twitch, subscribe, and like this video, share if you've enjoyed coverage you've seen today. You can head to amxrace.com. That's it from myself and Marco. A big thank you to the production team over in South Korea. Also, we have to say again, a big thank you to Automanics and BenQ for their continued support. And here at AMX Global, we are powered by Upbit. That's it for us on race day 16. And it's ciao from myself and Marco. We'll see you next time. So enjoy the rest of your week. See you very soon.
to you.